Listen, welcome to Soulful Wednesday. It's I love this topic, as you know. And today is the power of why. Every book you read, every guru you listen to, they say you got to know your why. You got to know your why. You got to know your why. Tom Martin, every Friday when he speaks, you got to know your why. And I want to help you today discover your why. You've heard me before with the quote, my favorite quote: the making of money must be the byproduct of the building of men and women and the rendering of essential services to mankind. And that was quoted by J.C. Penney. He was called a man of 1,000 partners. So, that's what my entire career has been about, 43 years, is building men and women. And this topic here to me, the why me mindset versus the why not me mindset, is just so important, because that just one change in why changes life. And, we've been on this whole series, the spiritual side of success. And it's amazing how challenging it is to do something with ourselves. And, I've been putting a lot of emphasis on Socrates: the unexamined life is not worth living. And that this is what the Soulful Wednesdays is all about, is this self-examined life. It's this thinking safari through the jungle of your mind to help you discover the deep reservoir and an untapped well in your soul. All the lions, tigers, and bears in your life are just imaginary and illusions. So there are no lions and tigers and bears. They're all just illusions. I've done this before, and you can see, I think Tom might be impressed. I actually have a PowerPoint. What do you think, Tom?
I like it.
Yeah. So anyway, we definitely are, everything we are, everything we've become, everything that we have learned in our lives have come through the touch, smell, sight, taste, and hear. Our soul, our mind, will, and emotions, the real us, the spiritual part of us. And again, I get very much into some topics. I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm treading on your beliefs, your religion, your this. If I use the word God and you rather use universe or life, you feel free to do that. I respect that. But there is a spiritual side to us. I meet very, 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 very limited people that don't believe there's a spiritual side. And I really, truly believe is that, we came in, this is the way we are right now. It's here. But I believe we came in to life. I believe when we were born, we came in this way. And through conditionings, we came this way. And now the goal of life, our goal should be, is that we do everything we can to master where we move in this direction. And don't wait until 60 years to accomplish this like I did. Do it now. And with my help, I'm going to help you get there. So I want to see all of us transfer from this to this. And after today, I'm going to try and help you do that, because the soul is made up of the mind, the will, and the emotions. And what I want to do is constantly build you up as a man and as a woman to make sure the train of your life is driven by your mind, not your emotions. This is a lot on here, but let me just hide my floating meeting controls. There we go. There's a lot on here, but I'm going to just go over this, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to upload into the chat box when it's time this entire presentation. I'm going to upload all the backup to all this and where to go get all this information for you. So you hang in there, and you're going to get that. But let me go here and let me get a pointer here that will work. Let's see. Yeah, this is better. So, if you look around and you study, a lot of people, they say the number one and the most important characteristic, a personality development, the most important is courage. And courage, the root word of courage is, as you can see here, the Latin word for heart. in its earliest forms, and it really meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. So the heart is that word heart. The name of my nonprofit is Encouragement Enterprises, based on this, that I learned many years ago, this idea of the heart, because I realized when I started doing some of the kind of work I started doing with my nonprofit, that our entire study and mastery should be on finding what happened to our heart along the way, and what happened where that this rules our lives and not this. And once you find your heart, and once you get your heart back, which is really your soul, your mind, will, and emotions, and the reason we got to where we are, back here one more time, the way we got the way we are is because our hearts were constantly picked at, or we, whether it was abuse, or whether it was what somebody said in school, what a teacher said to you, what you were bullied, or it's all childhood stuff. And our hearts were just eating their way out one little bite at a time, one little piece at a time. It was maybe an absent father, maybe it was, a mother that was, they call it emotional incest in the psychological field. Whatever it was, but that didn't negate the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It's just that our bodies rule. Our thermometer, we live life like a thermometer instead of a thermostat. So this whole emphasis on heart, how do we get it back? How do we get from this side over to this side? And how do we become the thermostat both versus the thermometer? Because the thermometer is nothing but the effect. Should be the cause of your life. And a lot of times our body, or all our senses and what's going on in our environment, the external, is what affects us. This little graph here that I have here, and I've shared this before, and by the way, I'm going to give you today, and I'm going to upload everything we've done since the last 2 months of the spiritual side of success, all the YouTube videos. I put them all in YouTube videos. So you're going to get a lot today, but it's going to be very, very powerful for you. But when you go back to one of the presentations I did early on a couple of months ago, on this side of the chart, this is performance. This is the doing. This is what we were taught as little kids. Hey, honey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, if the kid really spoke his heart, he would have said, wait a minute, ma'am, I am all that I already am, and I will never be any more. I came here with everything I need. It's about the being, the person. So this idea of heart, how do we get out of here and get over here? The first thing, you got to be honest. You got to be honest. Is that there's so much more we can be. There's so much more that we are than what we practice. And the other thing is empathy. We've got to be empathetic. Forget being empathetic to someone else unless you're empathetic to yourself. I never understood this. I never understood empathy. Not only I didn't understand empathy for other people, because I didn't understand it for myself. So in order to get out of here, this is the emphasis, the honesty and the empathy. You can see the central of your life is all about attitude. And then in order to stay over here, I get people in this frame of mind, and it lasts for maybe 3 days or 4 days. The next thing I know, they're back over here because they don't keep calling on their reserves. They don't keep training their mind, and they're not tough. They take tough situations over here and it beats them up, but you got to be tough on yourself. You got to wrap your arms around yourself. You got to realize you are unique. This is my thumbprint, not my actual thumbprint, the one I put up here. This is a thumbprint. Everyone should take a picture of a thumbprint and put it on everywhere. You're unique. So how do we find and tap that uniqueness so we don't allow these externals, the lions and the tigers and the bears, oh my, to keep us in this area over here? So this is where I want you to get. I want you to get out of the why me mindset into the why not me. Because when you live over here, which we were trained to do, and let's say this bottom part here is on the performance side. You with me? This is the performance side. Let's say here in life that this is the lowest of the lowest. It's the criminal. It's the person who take other people's lives. It's the people that just, whatever, they rob, they steal it. So that's where their performance is. Then you come up a little bit, here's somebody here, and then here's somebody here. And then we get up here, and let's say in business, let's use this side here, the performance side. I've shared this before when I was a young manager, and I realized this early on that my people who worked over here, my associates, when they would set a real goal and they work hard, perform, they always stayed within a range. And finally, I figured the secret out. Their set point, which is over here, their thermostat, it was set by their income of their family members. No one can ever break the barriers of the highest earner in their family. That's when I said, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to get over here. And this is the set point side. This is the thermostat. And the only way you do that, you can't unprogram if you're 30 years old or 40 years old or 67 years old. You can't unprogram 10 years, 15, 30, 40, 50 years of negative input that's been nipping away at your heart by an hour seminar every 3 months. This is where you got to live. When the focus in the source is external, age is a big deal. And then if you go to the opposite here, over here, when your source is internal, it's all about being ageless. Over here is a lot more sickness, the focus on sickness, or there's a lot more sickness that happens to people. Over here, and I have resources to talk about epigenetics that prove this. Over here, the emphasis is more on health, and it's automatic. Over here, there's a lot more emphasis on sleep, or you're being asleep. Over here, it's more emphasis on awake. Over here is there's a lot more checking out. And in front of the YouTube, or in front of the boob tube, the television. Over here, it's checking in all the time. Over here, life is happening to you. Over here, life is happening for you. Over here, you're defensive. How many of you are challenged with your defensiveness? Many of you are participating with me in this a mini course for life, and I love your texts and your emails and what it's doing for you. And it talks all about getting out of the defensiveness in our life and getting on the offensive. Over here, we're the victim. Okay, what is a thermometer? It's the victim of whatever the thermostat says. But it can change with the thermostat. Over here, you're the victor. And over here, it's the why me. Always. Why me? Why me? And no matter, and again, not that things aren't going on externally, but it doesn't take you here. Over here, it's the why not me. Here's the powerful one. This is where when you're just a thermostat, your language is, there's something wrong with Joe. There's something wrong with Bill. There's something wrong with my wife. There's something wrong with my partner. There's something wrong with my husband. There's something wrong with me. Over here, it's always, there's something right with her. There's something right with him. There's something right with me. I came up with this just a couple months ago. I recorded it in my car. I said, I'm going to take this challenge. Oh my gosh, my life was revolutionized in 30 days, even my mindset, because every time I start to use the word wrong with, I started to say, there's something wrong. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. There's something right with this, because life is not happening to us. It's always happening for us. And I don't care what your circumstances are. I have some guests on the call. I have one in particular. I know that, what's going on in their life and the physical stuff they're going through and the sickness and everything else, but they're still living over here. When you live over here, it's like the call I had with my sister, who just was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 8 months ago now. And I called for the update. Well, now they see some stuff on her liver. Well, she, in spite of this, she said to me, and she's been through the mini course with me, she said to me, Fred, you know what? It's okay. My greatest focus now is I am hoping, it's so rare, what it's there to put me, that they learn something from this for other people once I'm gone. That's living over here. She's celebrating life. She's having parties. If you look up Shirley Reed, go to my Facebook, look up Shirley Reed, my sister, and look at her attitude. It's because she's focusing here. because she never lost her heart in spite of the fact she's going to be losing her body, because she realized she's a spiritual being going through a human experience and not a human being having a spiritual experience. And there's something right with her pancreatic cancer, in her opinion now. So over here, you got a lot of nightmares all the time. Over here, it's more dreams that take place when you live over here and live as a thermostat. Over here, have you ever noticed how many times you go through the same conflict over and over again? And you have some issues with anger. You know, anger is one simple thing. It's threatened value. You have no value. Anytime you're angry, and anger swells up within you, I want you to go, okay, how did I give up my value? I've given up value somehow. So this is the thermostat, the thermometer. This is what you'll have. Over here, your whole life is built on collaboration and peace. You want to collaborate. You don't want to conflict with anyone. You want to communicate and have communion. You don't want to conflict with anyone. And I had somebody in my office last night. Are you ready for this? At 9 o'clock, they're debating with the way a listing agent was doing something, and they're saying, but, and I said, you're in conflict, man. Get into collaboration mode. You know, but I don't like just giving in. And I said, well, do you want peace or do you want conflict? It's that simple. Over here last week, we talked about the monkey mind. And by the way, you're going to get this whole presentation over the last few weeks. And the monkey mind was very powerful last week in the goal mind. So over here, it's tension relieving. This is the way we live over here. Over here, it's always goal achieving. The why not me is always goal achieving. Over here is substance abuse. Well, and substance abuse is just not alcohol or drugs. Oh my gosh, it's sex, it's food. Have anybody ever abused any food? Anybody abused any food lately? I had Tuesday night. But I said, wait a minute, what's happened? You know, and I got right back over here the very next morning. So you know, I got to a person of substance. I said, that's not me. That's not me. I'm a person of substance. And I give you some references how to become a person of substance. Over here is all about the self-sacrifice. And you know, you feel like you're always sacrificing yourself. And I do so much. And why didn't they appreciate it? And I did this. And I sacrificed myself. People, oh my gosh, how did they treat me like that? That's the way this side we are. So why me? Why me? And you have no control, or either you're out of control. Have you never noticed as soon as you're a little bit angry, it never like stays there. You get a little bit more, you get a little bit more, you get a little bit more. Because you feel like you've been sacrificed. Your value went away with the anger. So over here, it's about self-mastery. It's about self-control. It's about all control. I had a seller walk in my office 3 weeks ago now, right? 3 weeks ago. Are you Mr. DeFalco? Yes. Hi, how are you? They sat down. Anyway, long story short, they were listed with another company. They were frustrated with their listing agent. One of our agents was showing it. The agents, they showed up because they started showing the house instead of the agent because they felt their agent wasn't doing a job. And one of our agents kind of told them where to go. Hey, I'm trying to show the house. Just leave me alone. And they kept to this agent. So anyway, the long story short, you ready for this? They left. I had the listing. They left. We ended up with the listing. That wasn't because of any other reason except they couldn't get me off of my peace. They couldn't get me out of the collaboration peace state. And so what happened, they became peaceful. They started collaborating with me. I started giving them alternatives. And that wasn't because I'm so wonderful. It's just because I practiced to be the thermostat versus the thermometer. Over here, it gets to a point where you feel homeless almost, like I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I don't feel like who am I? What am I? And you feel like hell sometimes. Over here, you'll get to a point in your life where you start laughing at yourself. You start chuckling at yourself. You start feeling very comfortable and deep. You just feel so good and deep down inside in your own skin when you're a thermostat. And the way you do that is get out of this doing. I got to do this. I got to do that. You've been taught that all your life. You know, little Georgie, If you're a good boy, you'll get this. If you do this, you'll get that. If you do this, and we always attack the person instead of the behavior. And we were taught that we have to perform a certain way. No, and very few of us went through any type of encouragement to the point of where it was all about you, the person. The ego, I gave you some references to the ego and what I'm going to upload for you, or what I'm going to send you if you send me an email, and I'll send you the whole package, but I'm going to upload it too in the chat here in a little bit. The ego, a lot of people misunderstand the ego versus the soul. The ego is not about, oh, I do this, I do that, I do that. That's not the ego. The ego is not knowing the self. It's the false sense of self. It's the belief that, your value's been threatened, so you get angry. You try to make up for your life in external ways by raising your voice, or by, whatever, or by substance abuse. So it's, that's just, they're all about the performance, okay? Then it gets into, when you look at here, the doing, and it's the ego, the fear, the competition versus cooperation. You see, they're all just the opposite. Ego, soul; fear, love; competition, cooperation. There's nothing like, I am the most competitive. You heard Phil talking about the bike ride. I said, I'll bet you $150 I'll do 1 extra mile. He didn't know what I was setting him up for. I do this a lot, by the way, and I shouldn't tell any of you this in case I ever be able to get you. After he kills himself to drive 200 miles, he broke his limit. I'm going to hand him the $150, say, I can't do that. Because I want to teach people to break their limits. I've done it many times with push-ups. I'll see someone really well built and 30 years younger. And I look at him, I go, you know what? You're looking good, buddy, but I'll tell you what, I'll bet you I can do 5 more push-ups than you. You're up for it? I'll bet you $25. And I've done it out in public. It's the most fun thing you've ever seen. They're in there sweating, and they get out there about 80 push-ups. And they go, okay, now. I look, I go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I've gotten into. Here you go, man. That was great stuff. It was just worth the entertainment, okay? So it was cooperation, but I am competitive. But I live here. And this is all about judgment. You judge everything. Your perception is that somebody did something and boom. How many of you, and I know a lot of you have, because I do the same way, that you thought you saw something a certain way, and you called someone and you reamed them out and you didn't even see it right. You didn't even see it right. So it's all about judgment. We live over here in judgment. Over here, it's all about forgiveness. Why am I here? I'm here for the getting. That's the why me type of person. Over here, I'm here for the giving. I'm here for the giving, and then you get a greater capacity to give. I can't figure out how to, Tiffany, you're paying attention to the chats there. Over here, it's to do and be for me. Over here, it's to do and be for life. Another challenge I gave myself about 6 or 8 weeks ago, I was praying, and I said, God, help me figure, God, help, and I'm, whoa, wait a minute. And somehow it just hit me. I said, wait a minute. I have not prayed one more prayer for God to help me. My entire prayer life, I say, God, what can I do to help you today? God, what can I do for you today? And oh my gosh, the peace that's come over me by changing just my prayer life. I really believe that God doesn't hear most of the prayers because he can't relate, because he already did all this for us. We came here with all this. It's just that the world convinced us otherwise. The externals convinced us otherwise. So, change that prayer up. Do and be for life versus to do and be for me. Over here is why me. It's all about your story and language. I can't tell you many people say, well, let me explain to you what happened. Let me explain to you. Oh, and they want to give you all the story and all the details. And we own that language. Over here, let me tell you about an experience that I went through. Let me tell you about this. And then it's you want to talk about how much you learn from it and how much stillness that you've got from it. Over here, folks, this goes real well with anger. Not most, all anger is just based on illusions, because we never see things the way they are. You don't have the ability. None of us. We never see things the way they are. We only see things the way we are. When that screaming seller came in here, the husband and wife, and they wanted to tell me all about it, I listened. But I didn't see an angry seller. I didn't see one angry personality. They had a certain interesting personality from Brooklyn, New York, but I didn't see that. I just listened. I saw their pain. I saw that the fact that, and I knew I could tell where it was going to go, and I found out. they poured all this money into this flip because they were inexperienced and someone got them into it and they were broke. And had I responded, and if I would have believed what I saw on the surface, it would have been an angry self. Get the heck out of my office. That's the way it could have went. So we never see things the way they are. We only see things the way we are. And over here, when you live the why me life, or you live as the thermometer, it's all about illusions. And you literally become blind to reality. Over here, you live in reality as much as you possibly can. And your vision gets brighter and brighter moment by moment, day by day, day by day. And my lesson yesterday out of A Course in Miracles was, above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see. I want you to become that person. Above all else, someone upset you, think about it. Do I want peace or conflict? Above all else, I want to see. If you want vision, you want light. You don't want to live over here in the darkness. This is all about the body and the ego. This is about getting back to where you came from, that love. This over here is all about the external and in the world that we think we see, and we don't. That's not the real world. The real world is this. It's the internal and living here, and it's all about these things here. So I want to help you get your heart back. I want to have you get your heart back, and the byproduct is the building of men and women. And I want to get you out of here. I want you here, because when I send you what I'm going to send you, if you do the work, if you just stick with those YouTubes, if you stick with those people I tell you to study, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be turning your thermostat. Every hour you spend in personal development and self-mastery, you turn this thermostat up a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. And guess what happens? These things start, your performance starts going like this through the roof. There's no barriers, there's no ceilings, none at all. Because the more you go here, and this is not about money and fame and riches, because we've had that conversation before. If that was the case, Robin Williams would have never done what he done. I sat and had lunch with a very successful real estate broker that on Monday that has 120 people, and they do $190 million a year, and he sells multi-million-dollar houses for the last 25 years. Very well off guy. He was telling me, he said, Fred, I almost didn't make it. I almost didn't make it. He said, if I would have got a hold of a gun, I would have been done, man. And he had everything to live for, beautiful family, beautiful house, beautiful. He made it. I said, you're the Robin Williams. You're the Robin Williams, my friend. I'm so glad that you found it. And he started listening to people over here, and he started realizing, he started focusing only over here and got out of here. And it saved him. Unfortunately, people like Robin Williams doesn't get there. My brother at 48 didn't get over here because of just wrong information. Wrong information. He decided at 48 he had enough of living over here, because this came from all external factors, and we got to get here. So with that, I want to allow time today, hopefully, to really get you engaged and talk more about this. And I want to show you the what I want to do and what I'm going to send you here. I'm going to get out of here. This is what we've been doing for the last 6 or 8 weeks. This is everything. And I put all the YouTube links to the other videos, because I want you all to become thermostats. Today's session, this here is finding your why. And here's the things that if you will just go through these one by one by one, I promise you. And if you want to get involved in the mini course, there's a lot of people having problems getting them because Amazon was out and all. I just ordered 250 of these. There's information on here. I'm just doing them at cost, because now I get them wholesale at that kind of number. The problem is it's $2 and some to mail it, but it's still less than you'll find on the $15.95 or $14.95 on the websites, because the people that are participating in this with me, I'm just loving the stories. I'm loving the stories. It's 18 simple lessons. This book, Carlos Santana, the singer, claimed to save his life. I claim it saved my life literally 4 years ago. So the 18 lessons, you'll have that on this sheet. So I'm going to close this out, and then the Andres, that's in my documents, and it's under, Andres is here, it's under my documents, and then it's under seminars in 2021. This here is, he's going to send this as well. If it's too large of a document, just send me your email. This is my email right here, answers@defalco, no text. Send an email here in case you don't able to get it, or if we get hung up here. Send me an email saying, Fred, send me all the information. And if you want the living course, a mini course for life, then send me your mailing address, and then the instructions are on there.